Hi there, I'm Leanne Vanderputten, mother of 11, grandmother of 41 and counting, from Finer Femininity, where I share with you tidbits of old-fashioned goodness and wholesomeness to help us on the path to being joyful, traditional, feminine Catholic women. Today, our article is by Father Lovasik in the Catholic Family Handbook called Practice Kindness. Charity is practical love of our neighbor, the endeavor to do good to him in soul and body, mercy in the highest sense of the word. But love that resides in the soul ought to manifest itself through the body and its actions. The Gospel says that Jesus went about doing good, and in this he is a beautiful example for you. You have innumerable opportunities for doing good in your family. You have a heart, good thoughts, good words and deeds, and, above all, prayer. Kindness is never more important than in the family, and never more necessary than in parents. Be kind in thought. Without kind thoughts, there can be no real charity in the home. The thought eventually takes shape in words and works of charity, and gives to them their life, beauty, and worth. Words and works of charity are dead unless they are accompanied by a loving thought. Kind thoughts preserve you from many sins against charity in your home. Uncharitable judgments, misunderstandings, suspicions, envy, jealousy, and uncharitable words will not take root in your soul if you think kind thoughts. Strained relations between your spouse or your children will be smoothed out. Petty arguments will end of themselves, and aversions will disappear. Kind thoughts are the secret of success in dealing with the members of your family. Only a kind person is able to judge another justly and make allowances for his weaknesses. As a mother or father, you wield the power to influence your children for good, if your thoughts are always kind. A kind thought never fails to bring joy to your home. It gladdens you and those around you. Happiness is not necessarily won by deeds, but it is readily held by a simple, loving thought which can dispel the clouds of depression, discontent, and sadness. Your family will not fail to notice the presence of such thoughts, even if no word is spoken. If it should happen that no one is aware of the kind thought in your heart, God is aware of it. For he who himself is love knows all things. You cooperate in God's work when you wish your spouse or your children well, when you implore God's blessing on their work, and rejoice and thank God for their success. The good you do in this way will be rewarded more than any other, because it is wholly selfless. To foster kind thoughts, remember these suggestions. Put yourself in the place of the other person, and ask yourself how you would feel if you were the subject of such thoughts or judgments. Does God want this? Remember your own faults. Perhaps they are greater than those you condemn in others. Remember the good points and virtues of others, which usually outweigh their faults. Try to find some excuse for the things that others do which you do not like. This means having your eyes open to the whole truth, lest hasty judgments and prejudices close them to a part of the truth. Forgive injuries, and try to make up at once with those who have offended you, or with those whom you have offended. Be sympathetic, feel for others, and take a sincere interest in all that concerns them. Try to see God in your spouse and children. Love for your neighbor, and no one should be closer to you than your family, means loving God in your neighbor. This will lift your kindness to a supernatural plane, and, at the same time, make it more generous, active, and universal. Pray for your family, that God may be glorified in and through them. Above all, receive Holy Communion frequently, and ask Jesus to increase and preserve love in your heart for your family. If the Eucharist is the bond of charity that unites all Christians as members of one spiritual body, the Church, It is also the bond of charity that keeps your family together. By giving you a fuller share in the life of Christ, Holy Communion unites you more intimately to each other. It also gives you the help through actual grace to carry out God's great commandment of love in your own home, and to put away all unkindness. Through frequent Holy Communion, you will learn to overcome your selfishness and to resist your natural feelings of hatred and bitterness. You will develop kindness and sympathy, forbearance and forgiveness. Speak kindly. Kind words are a great blessing. They soothe, quiet, and comfort. When a kind word proceeds from your lips, it blesses you and fills others with gladness. If you greet your family with kind words and a cheerful disposition, even though you are at times weighed down by trials, you will put your worries to flight and lift your spirits. As hatred breeds hatred, love creates love. There are many dispositions in people, but there is no one who will not respond to kindness and sympathy. Kind words have converted more sinners than zeal, eloquence, or learning. Your spouse or children may sometimes betray bitterness toward you and expect unkindness. Respond with a word of kindness, and the rebellious one will be defenseless and often return the kindness. Each kind word will cost you only a moment in this world, but will have an important bearing on how you will spend eternity. Avoid unkind words and the harm they do. Unkind words put others down. By detraction, you make known the hidden faults of another without a good reason. By slander, you injure the good name of another by lying. And by harsh words of ridicule or contempt, you undermine the trust and confidence that should be the basis of family life. Some of the worst sins in this matter are committed in the home by gossip. Children hear their parents using abusive language to condemn their neighbors, to discuss their oddities, and to enlarge upon their shortcomings. It is a wicked thing to teach innocent children to become gossips. Gossip is all the more harmful when it has to do with a member of the family. Do not listen to gossip about your spouse, much less be easily influenced by it. Gossip is often started by malicious informants who secretly hope to awaken jealousy. Mutual trust is a great aid toward the preservation of love and harmony in the home. Harsh words, more than harsh deeds, are the termites that can undermine the foundation of a marriage. Even though words seem like little things, so quickly and briefly spoken, do not minimize the power that lies in their bitterness. What you do is often easier to forgive than what you say. Moreover, when an angry word provokes a quarrel, each party soon has a position to defend. A principle is at stake, you think, when in reality vanity and pride are the only principles involved. Reinforcements in the form of in-laws enter the picture. Soon, both sides are mobilized for an all-out war. People will at least consider almost any suggestion made in a friendly manner, but they will bristle with resentment if it is shouted at them in ill temper. Not only words, but even an angry tone can slam the door of understanding. In disagreements, abusive words crowd the mouth, the doorway of the heart. Then stubbornness gets its chance, and the peace that a simple, kind word of apology could have quickly restored is rendered exceedingly difficult. Too many marriages end up on the rocks because of little words and phrases. Many divorces could have been avoided if husband and wife had refrained from angry bickering and talked over their differences in a spirit of mutual understanding and goodwill. Uncharitable talk should cause you deep concern, because it may be the source of great harm to your family. You have only to think of God's judgment and the account that you will have to render on your observance of the 8th commandment, "You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor." If you thoughtlessly wag your tongue or make it the tool of anger or hatred, If you permit yourself to be swayed by bad temper, selfishness, and vanity, if you judge and blame rashly, try to begin to improve today for the love of God and your family. The following remedies may curb uncharitable talk in your family. Number 1, learn to be silent, especially when you are angry or disturbed, because silence is one of the great helps to avoid sin, to safeguard virtue, and to grow in close union with God. Do not repeat gossip and slander, even if by so doing you can hold the interest of your spouse, children, or friends. Carefully sift the talk you hear. Speak your mind if you will, but mind what you speak. Number 2, openly oppose uncharitable talk or counteract it by eloquent silence. It is a great work of charity to show by your conduct that uncharitable talk disgusts you as much as impure stories do. Number 3, have a sense of humor, which comes to the rescue in many a trying situation. It enables you to see the funny side of a situation when your attention had been previously engrossed on the distressing side. Do not save your sense of humor for parties. Put it to work in your home, where it is needed most of all. The ability to see humor in a situation often enables you to extricate yourself from a predicament quickly. A good, hearty laugh will encourage a cheerful spirit in your family. But good humor does not mean ridicule. A certain amount of good-humored kidding between husband and wife is usually a sign that they are getting along well. But if ridicule is used to sting and hurt, it is a sign that one has lost respect for the other. Number 4, speak of events, not of people, because a good name, that is, the esteem in which a person is held by his fellow men, and the mutual confidence resulting from this esteem, is a sacred thing, and everyone has a right to it. If you cannot say anything good about someone, say nothing at all. Number 5, do not deceive yourself by false excuses for unkind talk, such as, "It's not so bad or important," or "What I said is true," or "I told him to keep it confidential." Consider the damage that might be done to a person's good name even in what you consider a trifling matter. Number 6, avoid harsh and disrespectful words. They wound the heart and disturb the soul. Wisecracks can hurt others, arouse resentment in them, and even engender hate. Avoid personal remarks and bitter sarcasm. If you wish to keep those you love close to you, laugh with them, not at them. You can destroy love by making scornful, sarcastic, belittling remarks to others, or by telling your friends jokes and humorous incidents that make a laughing stock of your spouse or your children. At social gatherings, you can offend your spouse's and friends' sensibilities by displaying a form of rudeness that you would never tolerate from your children. How often do you interrupt a conversation to correct someone or to give your interpretation of what he is saying? How often do you contradict him? Number 7, make a promise never to speak an angry word to your spouse. Difficulties will arise between you and your spouse, for you are only human. Yet there is no difficulty, no matter how serious, that cannot be settled if you talk it over in a calm, friendly manner. If you are angry with your spouse, talk it out together. You should share your grievances against each other in loving sympathy. In this paradox lies a precious secret to happiness. Psychiatrists testify that there is healing in unburdening ourselves to a sympathetic and friendly listener. It restores peace of mind and a normal, healthy outlook. Troubles shared are troubles halved. Troubles hidden are troubles doubled. True psychology is expressed in the Christian teaching that we must make peace with our adversary quickly, by coming to an understanding with him. What the heart cries for is not an explosion, but a release, and the healthy way to achieve that release is for one person to make feelings of injury or injustice clear to the other. The words most difficult to say are, "I was at fault," "I'm sorry," "Please forgive me." Yet the person who utters them first proves superiority in character and in magnanimity and wins the greater victory. Of course, it is destructive to swallow grudges and nourish them quietly. You can rid yourself of resentments without letting them boil up inside you. The best way to approach such situation is to prevent them from developing. If not nipped in the bud, the tendency to quarrel can become chronic. Number 8, be kind and considerate in speech. Substitute expressions of kindness for quarreling and bitterness. Be quick to praise and commend, but slow to criticize. Take particular pains to see that you use your tongue for good, not for evil, to console, not to condemn, to build up, not to tear down, to rejoice at the good fortune of others, not to begrudge them success. Reassure each other of your love in words of gratitude, appreciation, admiration, sympathy, comfort, and encouragement. Love needs and thrives on frequent assurances. It dwindles when it is rarely put into words. And number 9, avoid idleness and gossip, remembering our Lord's warning. I tell you, on the day of judgment, men will render account for every careless word they utter. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. As long as you devote yourself fully to your work, you will have neither the time nor the inclination to take part in unkind talk. Above all, pray for each other. If you prayed for the members of your family half as much as you talk about their faults, how many sins would you avoid, and how much happier your family life would be? Let your love show in kind deeds. Love is not content with words, but seeks to assert itself by deeds. The effect of love is in eagerness to give, to serve, and to console. If you do not wish to cease to love, you must never cease to do good. Love in action calls for generosity and self-sacrifice. Without the element of self-sacrifice, you are pleasing only yourself. True charity makes the wants of your family your own. It makes you ready to anticipate the least of the needs or wishes of the members of your family and to render them all possible service. Sacrifices will bring joy if motivated by love. Be glad to perform little services for each other. Each day brings many opportunities for these unselfish actions. All the monotonous and unglamorous tasks, the duties of the day, will help you to find happiness if you perform them with unselfish love for each other, for your children, and for God. Love will move you to ease one another's burdens and to give help in time of need. Even the little acts of politeness and courtesy, which are an accepted part of the relationship between men and women, can do much to make your home a pleasant place in which to live. Courtesy is kindness manifested in your dealings with others. Intimacy should never destroy courtesy. You cannot possibly live in constant contact with others without noticing their faults and selfishness. Your own faults, like theirs, are bound to come to the surface. The observance of the courtesies of life, little acts of kindness and politeness, can smooth your relations with the members of your family and make them not only bearable, but, to a certain extent, pleasant. Small signs of consideration for each other's ideas and plans are outward signs of interest, concern, and love for each other. Saying please, thank you, and if you don't mind, will always have a pleasant effect. In the small things of daily living, you should treat each other with the same unfailing courtesy that you observe with strangers and friends. Why should you sometimes be rude to each other just because you know that your family will understand? The closer you are to each other, the more gracious you ought to be. Manifest your love by giving thoughtful gifts. Love has sometimes been defined as a desire to give. Little outward gifts are but a reminder and expression of the gift of yourself and all you possess to your spouse. Such gifts need not be expensive or elaborate, but they should be marked by unexpectedness and understanding. Unexpectedness takes your gifts from the sphere of mere custom or routine, and understanding indicates a desire to bring special joy. Give reasonable attention to your personal appearance. This is a sign of respect and esteem. Even in the privacy of your home, make an effort to be clean and neatly dressed. This does not mean being dressed up at all times as if you were entertaining company. Let your charity be wholehearted and sympathetic, for the manner of giving is worth more than the giving itself. Kindness is the art of pleasing, of contributing as much as possible to the ease and happiness of those with whom you associate. If you make it a point in your dealings with your family always to treat them as you would like to have them treat you, you will have no occasion for any breach of courtesy. Learn to think of others first. If you wish to achieve an ideal marriage, one of the most important obligations you both have is to develop an attitude of loving consideration. This means a constant solicitude for the well-being of each other. Since you cannot exchange jobs, be interested in each other's work and activities, and try to understand the problems connected with them. As a wife, you will become less inclined to talk about your own small irritations of the day if you try to understand what your husband's job involves, what demands are made upon him in a highly competitive world, and what he hopes to accomplish. This knowledge of what he faces each day in the outside world gives you greater incentive to make your home as clean, comfortable, and peaceful as you can. Make him always feel welcome, wanted, and the center of everything. Most of all, try never to nag. Do not talk of failures, of the faults of his relatives, or of the mistakes of the past. There is nothing to be gained by renewed talk about annoying habits that he cannot or will not correct. You must endure them and must not act like a martyr in doing so. As a husband, you should have the same loving consideration for your wife. Try to understand what her job as a wife and mother involves, the demands that it makes on her energy, time, and patience to keep your home in order and your children happy. It is good for you to remember her share in the burdens of caring for the children, doing household chores, cooking meals, dealing with money worries, addressing the problems of growing children, facing sickness, and meeting the demands of modern living. She will welcome a word of encouragement, but above all, she will welcome understanding. Gentleness, respect for the feelings of others, and consideration of their circumstances are the chief qualities of a gentleman or a lady. You have no better example to follow than that of Jesus and Mary. Keep smiling is a wonderful slogan for family life. A smile costs nothing, but creates much. It enriches those who receive without impoverishing those who give. It creates happiness in the home and fosters goodwill. It is rest to the weary, daylight to the discouraged, sunshine to the sad, and nature's best antidote for trouble. Yet it cannot be bought, borrowed, or stolen, for it is something that is of no earthly good to anyone until it is given away. The reward of kind deeds is very great. Kind deeds, like the love of God, have the power to make you truly holy. Love of your neighbor is but another form of the love of God. Kindness will make you a friend of Jesus, who said, "You are my friends if you do what I command you, and this is my commandment, that you love one another." Kind deeds are a source of happiness in the family. Little acts of kindness and little courtesies are the things that, added up at night, constitute a happy day. The best part of your life is spent in the little nameless acts of kindness and love you have performed in your home. Faithful, self-forgetting service, love that spends itself, is the secret of family happiness. You will be judged and will gain merit in heaven according to the spiritual and corporal works of mercy you perform for the love of God. The blessing of God accompanies every kind deed. If our Lord promised that even a cup of cold water given in His name will not go without its reward, He will grant you many graces and a heavenly reward for the services done to Him in the person of your wife or husband or child, whom He especially commands you to love. Finer Femininity Quote for the Day. The many troubles in your household will tend to your edification if you strive to bear them all in gentleness, patience, and kindness. Keep this ever before you, and remember constantly that God's loving eyes are upon you amid all these little worries and vexations, watching whether you take them as He would desire. Offer up all such occasions to Him, and if sometimes you are put out and give way to impatience, do not be discouraged, but make haste to regain your lost composure. And that was by St. Francis de Sales. Thank you for tuning in today. Come and visit me at my Finer Femininity website. I have a Facebook page too, where I share with you inspirations of all kinds. I also have lots of beautiful handcrafted items in my Meadows of Grace shop. Look for those links in the description below. May God bless you and Our Lady cover you with her mantle. Saint Anne, pray for us.